Welcome to the Late IHP Show with Maria, your lovely 5D mystic. Ooh. So, for anybody who's new, woo-woo is good. Pseudoscience also. We bring human, spiritual, and spirituality elements together, and we are the 5D collective at IHP, so that's integration of brain capacity and or desire. Our inner child adult is with us, so I'm a whole 3-year-old heart and a whole 1 and a whole 8, and all my child parts are run by the prefrontal cortex of me. I'm a functional adult. Restorative embodiment. I love emotions, and here we do, again, self-help, personal development. Your left mode is your chit-chatter. Your right is where the non-verbal stuff comes up from your body. No self-soothing mechanisms that are not healthy for you. We won't talk about that one here, but good relationships. So good relationships are healthy self-worth women, men, and dates. And so twin flames, soulmates, oversoul. As I've been sharing, the divine feminine knows pretty much everything about our oversoul. We don't know everything, but we know pretty much. So our soulmates remind us to stay neutral because we don't know everything. And why is that? Because our twin flames, it's like you know what you're going to get to expand on. I don't even want to go there again, but no saga or drama. You just know that they're adding every time to the mastery of your mental, emotional, and physical you. Okay, so you become more of yourself. And the same thing goes for the divine feminine, for the divine masculine and or masculines, and we're choice points. So healthy self-worth relationships continue with healthy self-worth people. They choose their inner child adult, and they move towards a world of harmony inside and out, okay? So people who are going to sit in human suffering love, they're not in the 5D collective. So those are 3D, 4D, and then we have the, what are that? Spiritual bypassers, the mantles of mental health, the mantles of yoga, the mantles of spirituality. So I call those hypocrites, but let me say they're not hypocrites. They're just living their subjective reality, like I am and any one of you are. And we're going to talk about that. Thank you to lovely brain lady. This is Lisa, where is her name? Lisa Feldman Barrett. She's the one who has, I think it's the book, The Mind Keeps the Count. Bessel van der Kolk is The Body Keeps the Score. Both important, both great reads if you're looking to be a whole human, to understand how your body stores all that trauma stuff in the past, and how the mind and the brain is actually something you want to also learn to master. Otherwise, you're not going to master anything. And a window tolerance is very important to expand if you have clinical dissociation. If you are not educated on what personality disorders are, Dr. Daniel Fox, go to his YouTube channel, catch up on it. He's got a lot of great content. And he humanizes every single one of those personality disorders, and that's great because when you know, I'm attachment trauma informed, how the emotions and the thoughts work, you're like, okay, I saw that one, okay, got it. Thank goodness that you explained everything and even the psychopath so that I can be a better friend, a better lover, a better anyone, even mentor for those who come around. Although as a mentor, I will say, okay, if we have potential consciousness barriers and memory barriers, we're going to have Daniel Siegel. I'm going to write him or any of the people in my network and say, okay, I have somebody like this. How do I approach, as I'm not a therapist? And that way they tell me the guidance and then I move from there. So we take responsibility, accountability, and seriously any content creator, mentor, consultant, because consultant is really the standard, online marketing consultant as well. I just don't make it a point to share all this stuff. Okay, so what I'm saying is, holistic practitioner, I'm a Reiki master. So yes, when somebody came around after having a psychosis or a psychotic breakdown, I said, okay, before we do anything, we should talk. Not should, actually, we will talk. We'll evaluate. I have some evaluation forms that we can do together, and then we'll move from there because I'm going to want to gauge your window of tolerance first so that we can understand what happened. Because there could be alters and we want to keep you safe, me safe, and everybody around you safe and stuff like that. And so it's really interesting when people don't contact you because they don't want to do inner well-being. But it's something that the therapist explained. They're really, really scared, and they're scared because they feel different. We all will feel different, but they feel more different, which is why Dr. Daniel Fox. Okay, so what happens when you get lucky? I got lucky. The first 3 years of my life, I have like amazing memories. My hypnotherapy session brought me back to my most favorite childhood memory. It wasn't traumatic. It was a 3-year-old me. So can you imagine the 3-year-old childhood with trauma? No, I don't want you to imagine that, because I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so painful. And so when you find out that the personality disorders, they're all healable, and in fact, at some point, they're going to change that word because it's not a disorder. What they're finding out, thank you, Lisa, is that the brain is running a model of its body. And your body keeps the score, as Bezel van der Kolk shares. So guess what happens? Peter Levine, come on over. He shares with us that the body holds muscle, bones, and tissue. That's where trauma memory gets released. So when you have chronic pain, with Peter Levine, there are people who, poof, the chronic pain has gone away. An old lady, in one of my courses, I get the honor to learn from Peter, and he shares one of his cases, one of his clients, and this lady said, I'm not coming back to you after one session. She was healing. But because she had a dream, and that dream, I don't know what happened, and here's where Patrick McNamara, you come on in. He shares how there's a fear receptor in our brain that goes wonky when our trauma, which is trying to heal, the brain always tries to continue healing, so it wants to get trauma memory is basically not where it's supposed to be. It's lingering in the brain, and the brain wants it time-stamped because it's going to move it back to the hippocampus, move it back to the hippocampus. So when you have a recurring nightmare, in fact, Patrick McNamara makes it a point to say, yeah, there's a fear receptor, it goes wonky. He studies the brains of shamans, religious people, and shares why there's no demonic possession, but that a person might want to know very seriously to get support so that you don't have this fear receptor that's already going wonky, break down, and so that you can get support, because rigidity and chaos is not your best friend, and you can heal your brain. Your brain is an organ. Okay, so as Lisa Feldman-Barron, she's talking about reality and how it's pretty much subjective. So the brain is running a model of its body. The brain uses past experiences to decipher what it senses. So for example, you hear a loud noise. Oh, it was wind, because you know the sound of wind. Okay, so that's why Patrick Tiahan, childhood trauma survivor, healed in healing, as he shares, as long as you don't get therapy, your past can most likely, your inner child with all the trauma, run your show. Since trauma is relational, when you have a dysregulated, dysfunctional nervous system from an unsafe environment, the first year of life, second, third, well, there you go. Your relationships, the past, the brain, the body, it's unsafe to be in any of them, and you're going to play out a specific pattern. And then you got 3 to 7, shame, submissive, and then we got freeze of all ages, 11, 12, flight, and 14, 15, 16, that's fight, and your teenager's usually running the show. But here's where Dr. Daniel Fox makes a very good presentation of how the inner family, inner war, and that's where, so again, we have a lot of people, they didn't get lucky. I got lucky. My brain is a very beautiful place. So is my emotional plane. So we get to do personal development, self-help, and support those who are healing all the stuff that I mentioned. And I want to share a little bit more from this lovely Lisa. As she shares, our brain makes predictions. And so it creates a category of instances from the past, which are going to be similar in some way to the present, in order to predict what the brain must do next and what it's going to experience, which is why people who don't notice, oh wait, I have childhood trauma, keep repeating codependent type relationships, low self-esteem, passive-aggressive, indirect communication. So they choose and feel at home with dysregulated, dysfunctional nervous systems instead of healthy, self-worth people, as long as they ignore and as long as they don't get good therapists. With good therapists and people like us who are understanding and not afraid of anyone, because unless you have a weapon, we won't be afraid, we get to support you and you get to support us. And in our relationships, we get to empower each other. And as my lovely teacher from one of my courses said, what are you going to do now that you know so much information on attachment trauma? And I said, I'm going to go keep helping people to be their self and help people to build relationships with all people and stop talking about demons, devils, evil, energy, vampires, dark auras. All the ones who don't want to do therapy, we surround them with therapists. As long as they're Pinocchios with ears, they're on the island with the donkeys. We still surround them with therapists. So in the meantime, let's build those functional adult relationships that support people who are healing. The inner child adult of you and I gets to be in the 5D. It's Christ consciousness for a reason. Thank you, Jesus, for the unconditional love you taught me. I know how to forgive. I know how to know they have a heart like Pacha shares with Cusco. And that is where we end today and tonight. Have a good one.